Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have terrible luck for the next week. The world can be a crazy place, and we are often reminded of that by the things we see on mainstream media every day. The harsh realities of the world usually take our minds away from the existence of sweet, happy, and reassuring moments that life sometimes has to offer. We will be looking at 10 people who took a few seconds out of their day to be kind to someone else, despite how crazy their lives are. Prepare to have your faith in humanity restored to 100%. Number 10. A cop being a friend. You might not expect a cop to understand a reckless kid that breaks the law. After all, they're supposed to enforce the law. This is a story of a college student who violated traffic laws while speeding way past the speed limit. After the cop stopped this reckless driver, the kid told the officer that he was late for an important presentation in his class and was only speeding because he would have to stop by the house of one of his friends who knew how to knot a tie. Anyway, the officer did something quite surprising for this young and unusual road offender. He took the tie from the kid and proceeded to loop it around his own neck while asking for car papers and license. He went on to counsel the student that one of his insurance cards had expired. After he was done, the officer handed the tie to its owner and sent him off on his way, with more than enough time to get ready for his presentation and maybe even grab breakfast. Now, if that wasn't a heartwarming act of kindness, I don't know what would be. Number 9. An angel in the form of a store attendant. I think we all more than once have come across the grumpy grocery store attendants that look like they would rather be anywhere else but in front of you. The annoying customer asking for where you can find the lettuce. In this story, there's actually a kind grocery store employee that touches hearts with a small act. The employee was simply going about his day like any other when he spotted a frail elderly woman making her way to the parking lot with her groceries. The store attendant hurriedly dropped whatever it was he was doing and rushed to the woman's side and took her by the hand. Then he gently walked alongside her, leading her to her car and helping with her groceries. All the while, both employee and shopper were unaware that another person at the store who was touched by the act was watching and recording all of it. The customer went on to post the heartwarming video to Facebook, where it went viral immediately. This act of kindness got featured on the local evening news, with the customer telling reporters that he had approached the grocery store employee after witnessing his gesture of sympathy to let him know how much it was appreciated. He said that he had acted as if what he did was no big deal, and went on to say that it was the kind of attitude that the world needs to see. And we couldn't agree more. Number 8. A miracle in New York. This next act of kindness takes place where you might least expect it. New York. A young man on the subway put all of that to rest during a routine subway ride. During his trip, he noticed a freezing homeless man who didn't have a shirt on. Usually, people just step away from such people and go about their day like they didn't see the person half frozen to death. But he had the opposite reaction from anyone else on the ride. The man was clearly not in his right mind and didn't smell like flowers, so the other passengers were crowded at the other end, as far away from the man as possible. But this young man only saw a fellow human being who was cold and disoriented on a chilly winter night, and without thinking twice, took off his shirt and handed it to the shivering man. This video was posted on Facebook, where it got an astounding 8 million views. Number 7. A story of two best friends. Next up, we have two girls showing the world what best friends should genuinely mean. When an 11-year-old girl was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, her 9-year-old best friend decided to show her support in a way most little girls wouldn't think of. The 9-year-old decided to twin with her best friend and shaved her head bald as a way of letting her know that she was not alone. Unfortunately, her school was not pleased with her decision. The school suspended her and sent her home for going against the school's dress codes. The 9-year-old's mom shared a photo of the two besties together. And after intense public pressure and criticism against the school's bad decision, the school board called an emergency meeting, which they voted to waive the rule and allowed the little girl to return to school. Took them long enough. With this kind of support, cancer definitely picked the wrong best friends to mess with. Number 6. Another heartwarming cop story. Here's another cop story that will turn your heart to mush. An officer in Mexico responded to a call of a man lying up against a rock in the middle of a parking lot with no shoes or socks. When he got to the man, he found his wet socks drying nearby and worn-out shoes full of holes. This officer could have just done his job and told him to clear off the property, but footage from his body camera showed that he chose to do things differently. After making sure that the man didn't need medical attention, he went to a store and bought the man a new pair of shoes and warm fuzzy socks. The officer told the man that Big Five had hooked him up, hiding the fact that he had actually bought the shoes himself. And if that wasn't enough, he extended a hand of kindness further by giving him $20 to make sure he didn't go hungry that night. This officer of the law is one that gives us hope that there are still good people out there. Number 5. The power of the people. Sometimes the effect of togetherness and unity is unmatched. Now, this isn't the point where we burst out singing Kumbaya, although that would be appropriate. A train station in Australia came to a standstill when a passenger found himself trapped between the train and the platform. As he was getting on the train, he lingered a bit too long, and as the doors were closing, he got his leg caught. Quick-thinking transit officials alerted the conductor, making sure the train didn't move. However, they weren't sure of how to free the man. It's not every day or every other day you're faced with this kind of situation, so I guess they weren't prepared for it. Fortunately for the man with the unfortunate leg, the train was filled with kind passengers who all agreed to evacuate the train. They assembled at the side of the train and tipped it over to create a space wide enough for the man to free his leg. He was definitely saved by their numbers. And yes, now you can silently hum Kumbaya if you're feeling like it. Number 4. Employees offer a shoulder to lean on. Employees of a donut shop in Vancouver noticed that something was wrong with one of their drive-thru customers one morning in 2016. The woman was obviously upset, and when one of the employees asked if he could help, she confided that she had lost her 37-year-old husband the night before. The 19-year-old employee then asked the woman if he could pray with her, which she agreed to. The other employees paused and leaned out the drive-thru window to hold her hand. Of the group, only the 19-year-old identified as a Christian, with another young man telling reporters that he wasn't religious at all, but just wanted to help someone who obviously was in need. If that didn't draw at least some emotion to your heart, you might need a prayer circle to help thaw that heart of ice. Number 3. Mexican food and a kind heart. Employees at the Qdoba restaurant in Kentucky take pride in going out of their way for their customers. Among their many regulars is a woman that the employees described as a lovely lady with disabilities. The woman, who was unable to move around and get out of the house very often, loved to eat at her neighborhood Qdoba when she could. Mexican food might do that to you. One day, when she was having a particularly tough time, she had an unusual request added to her usual order that almost every employee knew by heart. She asked one of the employees if he might be able to help feed her, and the young man didn't think twice before agreeing. The sight of an employee feeding a customer attracted stares from several other customers who noticed the exchange. One of them recorded it and shared it on social media. Now it's time for today's best pick. This picture was sent in by a subscriber. If you find an interesting photo online and would like to know its origins, simply send it to us. Who knows? We may just have it in our next video. Number 2. A noble sacrifice. A little boy was walking towards an ice cream truck when he saw a homeless man sitting on the other side of the sidewalk. The boy started fighting a dilemma within himself, contemplating whether to buy ice cream or give it to the homeless man. He eventually picked a side and bought a cone of ice cream. Our viewer, who was recording the whole time, was initially disappointed. But wait, it's not what you think. It wasn't until the kid walked over and handed the ice cream cone to the homeless man that it finally clicked. I don't know about you, but this definitely bumped up my hope in humanity. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works. Number 1. A tale of gold and a gold heart. Alright, let's talk about this. Would you ever turn down massive profits in your business to help someone? Noah, who owns a pawn shop, turned down a very good amount to make money and gave money from his pocket to a complete stranger. Noah was working at a shop when a woman walked in, obviously distraught, and looking to sell a family heirloom for quick cash to pay her bills. Rather than let this desperate woman sell off something so priceless for a little money, like many people would, Noah returned the ring to her. He dug into his pocket and produced the cash she needed. An absolute awe moment right there. Alright, we've come to the end of the video. And we hope we were able to restore your faith in humanity because, at the end of it all, we all have to help each other out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and, of course, be kind. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you later on the next video.